This officiating is criminal. We need to review that call immediately.
Welcome back to another edition of Dave Smith Unleashed. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and get to the YouTube page at Dave Smith Unleashed Podcast, and you can always hit me up on Twitter at Dave Sportscott. You know what's what we're going to talk about today is the crisis in officiating in the National Football League. I don't know if crisis is the word, and what word would you use for it? Incompetent would be one. Unqualified would be another. Corrupt would be a third. See, that's the big question. Are they incompetent or are they corrupt? And I'm beginning to think it is the latter. But before we get to that, how about the Dave Smith NFL Lock of the Week last Friday over the weekend? And I picked Monday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys -3 over the Las Vegas Raiders. And man, did I love that game. And I pointed it out on the Friday edition of Dave Smith Unleashed. Dallas has brought in some reserves. They've brought in some new players defensively. I think they'll be improved on that side of the ball. Offensively, they're as good as any team in the NFL at the skill positions. I mean, they are loaded all over the field offensively and have a quarterback who's having a season for the ages in Dak Prescott. And the Raiders are horseshit. The Raiders are absolutely awful. You know, Geno Smith is an average quarterback at best. And I thought Dallas was going to absolutely roll them on Monday Night Football, which is exactly what happened with a 33-16 win. And, it wasn't even that close. So they easily covered the 3. And how about my record on the year on my NFL locks? Now 8-3. That is 72% against the point spread. So Dave Smith Unleashed brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873. Every time I think about that and this sizzling streak I'm on against the spread, I wonder, why don't I have 1 million subscribers here? Why don't I have 1 million people, 1 million views every week on Dave Smith Unleashed? I guess people don't like making money. Well, you think if somebody is hitting NFL locks and making people money at this pace, oh my God, this will be the most popular podcast in the country, which I'm hoping it will be soon. Once again, 8-3 on the year, 72%, and we're 1 win away from guaranteeing a winning season. Since it's a 17-game NFL season, if we get to that 9th win, we can't do any worse than 9-8, and hopefully we'll do a lot better than that. So everybody making money here with the Dave Smith Locks on Dave Smith Unleashed, and I'll have another one on the Friday edition of the show. I'll come up with my NFL Lock of the Week, and hopefully we get to 9-3. Okay, let's get to the topic at hand today, officiating in the National Football League. And it always baffles and amazes me when they go to the replay review booth. I say to myself, why in the hell does it take so long? See, this is what I don't understand. This is why I have my suspicions about whether these games are on the level or not. These referees have earpieces. There's people in New York at the control center watching these games. As soon as the play ends, television shows the replay, and 9 times out of 10, you can tell within 5 seconds whether the call was good or bad. And before the coach even throws a challenge flag, or before you want to review a scoring play, you should already have a decision made. It should take 5 or 10 seconds. Oh, that's obvious he was out of bounds. That's obvious he was bobbling. That's obvious it wasn't a fumble. His knee was down. But they got to go running off the field. They got to talk to the replay review officials up in the booth there at the game. And, God knows what goes on while they're doing that. And this is why I've talked about this before. You want to know why college football has cameras and audio up in the replay review booth and they're so transparent and the NFL doesn't? The XFL has it. The USFL has it. College football has it. And it is so fantastic. It is great television. When you can hear the replay review guys and the officials down on the field discussing things and going over the video and deciding which call they're going to make on the field, it is transparent and it is great television. You'll never see a camera in a National Football League review booth. You know why? Well, because there's people in New York. I was told on good authority a few years ago, and it was by somebody who's a longtime front office executive in the National Football League. He was a frequent guest on my show over the years. I don't want to say what his name is. And he's still involved in the National Football League. He has been for 40 years. He told me one time the reason you don't see cameras in the replay review booth is because you'd see the secret red phone there. There's a red phone there nobody's supposed to know about. That's directly connected to the league offices in New York City, and they tell the guys which way they want the call to go. And we're not supposed to know about that.
NFL officiating.
It's corrupt. It arouses suspicion. And when the replay reviews take so long, of course, it arouses suspicion again. And when they get it wrong, how do they get so many calls wrong when they review it up in the booth and they watch the replay 15 times and it's obvious which way it should go, and they still get it wrong? But this was Sunday Night Football. This was one for the ages here. This is one where you say things that make you go, Things that make you go, Remember that old song? I think that was CeCe and the Music Factory back in the day. Lions down 16-9 against the Eagles. 1 minute and 51 seconds left in the game in the fourth quarter, a low-scoring game. The Lions have been struggling to move the football all night, and Eagles with an outstanding defense. They held the Packers to 7 points the week before. So far, they've held the Lions to 9. But it's a 3rd and 8 with 1 minute and 51 left. If the Lions can turn them over on downs or force them to punt, well, they're going to get the ball back and they're going to have an opportunity. 1 minute and 51 seconds is plenty of time to go down the field and score. Now, would they have done it? Probably not, because they've been struggling all night on offense. But you never know. They've got playmakers there. They've got Jahmyr Gibbs. They have Jamison Williams. They have Amon-Ra St. Ra. They have all kinds of playmakers on that team. Somebody could have made a play. Had they gotten the ball back and had a chance, maybe they do score. Maybe they do win the game. But we all saw what happened. 3rd and 8, 1:51 left, Eagles up 7. Jalen Hurts drops back to pass. He's looking for A.J. Brown. Incomplete. Eagles are going to have to punt, and the Lions have a chance here to come down and tie the game, maybe win in overtime. But wait a minute. There's a hanky down on the field. There's laundry on the field. Pass interference against Rock Nassim. Now, that's one of the great names in the NFL. Rock Nassim, the defensive back for the Detroit Lions. And when you watch the replay, there's not a chance in hell. That's the biggest bullshit call of the NFL season, especially considering the circumstances. The point in the game where it was 2 elite teams, the Lions fighting for a playoff spot, the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. Again, the biggest bullshit corrupt call of the season. And there's been a lot of them. I can't think of one worse than this. And they showed the replay, and to Chris Collinsworth's credit, he said, "Are you kidding me? That is a terrible call. You're going to call that? If there's any penalty, it should have been offensive pass interference on A.J. Brown." And he was correct on everything he said. And even Mike Tirico, who's kind of, Switzerland of announcers, he always stays neutral, never says anything controversial. Even he said it was a terrible call. Both announcers.
Wait, but that was a good call.
So I said to myself right then, boy, I can't wait till they bring in Terry McAulay. Terry McAulay is the Sunday Night Football rules expert, former National Football League official. I can't wait to hear his thoughts on this. Well, of course, they're going to bring him in and say, "Terry, what do you think of this? Was this pass interference? This is a terrible call." They never mentioned his name. They never brought him up. They never brought him in to give his opinion. How can you not bring the rules expert in on a play of that importance? A huge play like that, with the Lions fighting for their playoff lives. 1 minute, 51 seconds left, an incomplete pass. The Eagles are going to have to punt. The Lions are going to have a chance. If you're ever going to bring the guy in, wouldn't it be in that situation? They never called him. They never asked him for his opinion. That's almost as big a crime as the bad call by that official. And I saw Rex Ryan on TV this week saying he should never work another NFL game, and I agree 1,000% with that. So horrendous call. They don't bring in the rules expert. The Lions wind up losing 6-9 as the Eagles ran out the clock after that. Just a miscarriage of justice and a crime. What happened there? How do you not bring in the rules expert? Well, I'll tell you what I think happened. After Collinsworth was ripping the officials, and after Mike Tirico agreed with him, I think somebody in New York got onto the headsets and was whispering to Collinsworth and to Tirico, "Okay, let this go. That was a horrible call, but that's the way we want the call to go back in New York in the commissioner's office. Let it go. Don't bring in McAulay. We don't want to belabor this point and make the referees even look worse than they have been already." Let it go. Don't bring him in. They never mentioned his name. They never said, let's go to the rules expert. They never said, let's bring in Terry McAuley. They just let it go. After Collinsworth ripped the officials mercilessly, how do you let that go and not bring in the rules expert? I tell you, this freaking league, it is so corrupt. It is. They're not even trying to hide it anymore in the National Football League. So the Lions get screwed. The worst bullshit call of the season. The announcers rip the call. Then they don't bring in the rules expert. There's only one conclusion to make. They got into Collinsworth and Tirico's ear from New York and said, don't belabor this point. Let it go. Let it go. Don't bring in the rules expert. What other explanation could there possibly be? I tell you, this freaking league. Wow. Don't forget to tune in Friday for my next NFL Lock of the Week as we try to go to 9-3 on the season, making everybody money. So thanks for tuning in. That's it for Dave Smith Unleashed. And make sure to follow me on Twitter, on X, at Dave Sports God. I'm always talking about when the next show is and who the guests are going to be. So make sure you tune in then. And we'll talk to you next time on Dave Smith Unleashed.